Okay, good morning. So we'll begin with the prayer to Manjushri. Lama dangumbo jambo yang lai chan sa lo kongi lon jin jim yin jin ra ni tar nam da ra sa jin yin dengen ji jin si jir ni jin tu gar le bam zen kon da sip chen ro ra ma re min thon dung an ji zir wen do zo ken la pu ji tar yan lai tu je yan den son do dren jen do nye mo nye lon le je chan do ndol ze ma re men zen dong a nye go jen yen jen ze ral je nam den en da je tar zen yen den lin zon ja zen tu wen gon che dan che dan che nyen jen de da le men zen Jambe yon la ende mara bhajana dev 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 mara Omara bhajana de 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 zende jinji chenra vizre dale demo memba razane kadan denje shonlon dombai londe bobe na wan zandu su je jingo re dan jingur nyan zen chada kadin zonda majiba balwa jinchu jinja bisha jindu jima me balangu vira dundu de gozongu ba jimbe ngonen chanza shinja zuchi o shiva nen zerab tam jedu tuje jesu zimbaran zedu zo kangi shazan doye mingom gesar zimbe nonda shin zimbe ziwe zindum bar vendu kun me gendu zinjuru tuje dama kune shiren jiten sum je konjabe Tuambe mogarbe jabe dirinda le yenzuru shon ujenzo lembe mendon bonzaren jabe namdo ranshin lenjedo zenzo beje yenden chombarbe pe manjo nenda le yenzuru shon gombolo do arya deva dan tome nyen cholan jujenda chujun eja namnye baozo zanlin jenjo namjenda e shon kongre de garin chenyen be golo yenden kunjonga ve shazar do nyimbi denze bebe nanjurba Longchen ramjang shajen da e zhong, ridong jamba shunu jin la le, gombe long le po beter je do, long do shun zhen jang zuen nga wan jur, mi pam jambi ang jen da e zhong, kongi da la ri pa lo pa dan, do ji den je me nga nang la so, la pa za da ong guru shin lam be, ngui ji chin chen la men da e zhong, nam mong guru, jun yin pa men dun je she za la, kun ja rang jun tu je jin be jen, tu je ka la ka men ta nang wa, Palden la me ja jen da e shon, yende sanje kun da nyan na ya, kadin sanje kun le la be gun, sa we la me ja la so ande, pa son do we lam na che la anjur, kondo chu jur dong ge ji de na, de she lo mar jur ba kan zo da, tender dam be chu jen char be be, sembar de ban tha dan dir je she, namo arya dhamba, la e ke dan lu dan nu jen ge, ndupum da da me ke nam dan, doa kun je da nam je zambar, Pamje gedo sosur te gyönje. Majundo anamka danyam besim jen tamje. Namdol tenji dewa la name ba yanda bar zubi sanji jingo kwaram barjela. Chine jam go barsha. Te iche do. Tekba chimbe shonlo. Jasi chimbo shiwa la. Le nzebi chanju sembi jova lan juba tenyi. Tsushindu sene nyam sulang arju. Nyamdo samba chanju chodo. Tuje badanche de sen sals. So, first, that arising the right motivation by generating a vacant mind in this way and start from one's dearest, such as a mother, and each and every beings kind of like a feel like same as one's dearest, such as like mother, and then to who have been done great kind to oneself, and then in order to pay their kind back, the best way of paying best and the paying back is to free them from the cyclic existence and its cause, and then to lead them to complete enlightenment. That will be the best gift, paying kindness back. So for this purpose, that I'm going to listening this Mahayana scripture composed by Shantideva, The Way of Bodhisattva's Life, and that is the how we should generate the awakened mind, the right intention before the meritorious activity of teaching and listening begin. And then additional listen carefully in an excellent way and try to implant the meaning of this teaching as well as the words which are necessary for our day-to-day life to implement. With that kind of preparation, listen this teaching. And the actual teaching itself has this 10th chapter and 4th hymn. So among the 10 chapters, 7 of them we already studied, and among the theme, 2 of them we already studied. So we are here at the moment, chapter 8, the 3rd theme, how to develop the Mahayana spiritual training or the Bodhicitta, way of Bodhisattva's life. Further, the ultimately until what state that one should try to improve. And to do that, diligent and meditative concentrations and wisdoms, these 3 things are required in order to improve or develop our Mahayana spiritual training. And among this, the how to develop diligent we already studied, and at the moment we are here to how to develop the meditative concentrations. And the most of them, that how to develop meditative concentrations, we already covered, we already studied. Now almost it is ending, that at the moment that where we are is like that. So after understanding all its contraries and its allies and the actual how to develop the meditative concentration based on the kind of like a bodhicitta. So try to arise this bodhicitta and then try to stabilize that willingness or willing to benefit others, kind of like try to make it still within our mind, regardless. And that's what we already studied. And after that, then this kind of like at the end, now these are guiding, the Shantideva's guiding. After understanding all this process, then you should convince yourself you should convince your both mind and body to work with myself, to engage into those training in a gentle way first. And if this mind and body not being submissive or obeying, or kind of like a not giving support to my wishes, that which I want to train this Mahayana spiritual training on developing bodhicitta, then even gently, requesting, it's not, then if it is not obeying or if it is not giving support, then one should convince oneself by kind of like in a little rough way, like defeating mind and defeating body by contemplating upon their kind of like a force, that what if I obey, instead my mind and body letting obey me, if I obey them, what it will going to be the consequences for myself, by looking into understanding all those consequences of obeying them rather than let them obey me. And with that understanding, little bit in a forcefully, kind of like the trying to stopping them to demand to myself, and to how to stop with the little bit in a rough way, the mental, which we already studied. That's something, there's a no third person, I always saying. So this is something talking between myself, and within myself there's a my body, my mind, and myself. Look, so that kind of idea itself is something very unique and interesting, isn't it? Dividing in this way, that there's a no philosophies like dividing in this way, like my body and my mind and myself. This is actually truth if we invest in if we scrutinize to look ourselves. That normally we have saying, right? We have saying that one part of me wanting this, and my one part of me and understanding this is not proper. You see, this is something normally we talk, and this one part of me wanting, it's like either that can be either my body wanting or my mental, and particularly those emotion mind like desire and so on, those mind wanting, and then myself who understand the fact and reality, the truth. And it is kind of like a feel guilty or hesitations to do that. But if another part of myself, which is my mind and body, if they are strong, then this myself will going to be controlled. Then once it's controlled, even though I feel wrong, I feel guilty by engaging into those activity, but somehow this habit or the pattern, it becomes like stronger than what I wish, and therefore this mind and body controlling myself, and then I have to obey this what my body want and what my mind want, instead this mind and body obeying me. So this is actually becomes like a owner become a slave, and then slave become owner. So the slave and owner changing, exchange their position. It is just like that actually. That is really truth, regardless of that it contradict with your way of concept, where your way of thinking or not, doesn't matter. Even it is contradicted with my way of thinking or my way of doing or not, it is regardless. Here I'm not teaching something that what I believe. It is something not just what I believe, no, what I think. I'm not teaching here what I think, and it is I'm trying to teaching here what Shantideva's taught. And when I'm teaching that, so even it is contradicting with myself. Yeah, there are many advice. It is contradicting with myself too, my attitude and my behavior. It is really penetrating myself too. When while I am teaching this to other, this all also more, how to say, it is more penetrating myself than others, from my point of view. When I read all this and when I teach this, and then yeah, that is, it is not just to teach to others, to just for all of you to understand, but also it is myself to contemplate and reflect upon, and then try my best. And that is also truth. So Therefore, that some of these are actually contradict with my own attitude and my own behavior. But I have to teach this. This what I am teaching Bodhisattva's way of life, not my thinking, not my not my concept. I'm not sharing my concept. And so so therefore, here, normally in our day-to-day life, we have saying this, right? One part of me wanting it, another part of me saying this is improper. That is exactly how to divide. How to divide. Here, Shantideva kind of like a dividing this into three. So two of them are actually my slave, kind of like a slave or my servant. But servant become boss. Servant is kind of like a we kind of like a lacking of dealing with the servant. Then servant goes high than boss, right? That happens actually in a world, happens, right? At the beginning he was nothing and comes and asking to give a job, and then some boss gave job, and then gradually he or she become very close to the boss, and then he or she trying to control the boss, and then later he or she become boss and boss become servant of that really happening in within our life. We have many examples, and history there are tons of examples like that. So this is really something that we need to contemplate. We need to remind ourselves, although our habit is strong, our patterns is repeating, but still at the same time, we should try our best to not to let those servant become boss, and then boss become servant. This is not kind of like a not the way as it is. The way as it is this too should be the servant. This too, the my body and my mind should support me to improve. That I don't need to really depend on this my body and my mind that so much. I don't need to. So anyway, so from here, that Shantideva, so that how to say, in a raft, a way of convincing myself to not to fulfills body's want. Gently already gone. When gently not working, then this is what Shantideva recommending to convince oneself. If the gentle advice guideline before, as we studied, if that works, then this no need. Its purpose is complete. Then we can skip this part. If the gentle way, it's not when it doesn't work to tame my own body and my own mind, then little bit rough way that I need to use this intelligent and the idea to tame my body, my mind and body. So the mind, how to tame the mind, which already uh, completed, and here at the moment we are how to tame the bodies. And within that, the I think 3 or 4 stanzas we uh, completed yesterday, isn't it? Mm. So we are here at the moment, stanza 178. So yesterday, those 3 stanzas giving 3 reasons why we need to tame our body, why we should not try to fulfill what body wanting. So 3 reasons. And these all are Shantideva's talking also related with the while we are alive. While we are alive, and how to tame this body by giving these 3 reasons. So the first reason is the what do you call as much as we conceited, right? Conceited to this body. Is it cosseted? Yeah, cosseted, right? So as much as we cosseted and safe from hurt, right? Just so to that degree, it dwindles to a weak and fretful state. That is one reason that why we should not try to fulfill our body wants. So thinking this is one reason. And then second reason which Shantideva gives from this next stanza, which is saying that the by becoming dwindled to a weak and fretful state. It is if becoming that fulfilling my body's want, then maybe it's okay. But that's not the case. Being so cosseted makes the dwindle to a weak and fretful state, my body, and that becoming that will not going to satisfy it. Body will not going to satisfy it by making that. So the craving or the wanting, the which body demanding will not going to cease. That's what it means. It will not going to stop by fulfilling all his want. So that means it is impossible to satisfy it by fulfilling body's demand, and body will never going to tell us, so now this is enough, okay, now I am good. This body will not going to say that. For who can give them all they crave, right? All they crave means all this body want, body crave. Who can give? There's nothing that we can give. That's the another reason that why we should not how to say, consider so important this what my body wants. We should think wisely rather than just following that immediately what my body demands to me to do. Before doing it, we should consider. That's what it means. Because the second reason is that there's no way that I can make satisfied my body's want. I can fulfill my body's want. And then the third way, it is related with the second reason. Since there's no way or impossible that I can make satisfied this my body, so something kind of like their hopeless craving brings them misery, brings me misery, right? That my body is this kind of like the hopeless craving, right? That's hopeless craving, that trying to fulfilling that crave. It is itself is difficult, one thing. And additional, and top of that, it also discourages myself. So trying to fulfilling my body's want will going itself is something difficult, plus it will going to discourage myself. So these three reasons that Shantideva provided. While we are alive, we should not try to fulfill what my body want. So therefore, dewe luji debani pelchir kabye mijade kanshi yon mizinba deni ngobo sangbo yins. So therefore, for the increase of my body's wants, I will give no space, no opportunity, and of possession. Those things are the best that do not captivate by their attractiveness. Right? What is that attractiveness? To myself. This body. This body is very attractiveness to me, right? Uh, so the person, okay, anyway, so what it is saying, therefore, the previous above three reason, Shantideva present to us, guided to us that why we should not. And therefore, for the increase of my body wants, I will give no space, no opportunity. That's how we need to force a little bit ourselves to against what my body demanding, or what my body asking me to do it, So I will give no space to my body, no opportunity to my body to control me. That's what it means. And then on the other hand, and of possession, those things are the best that do not captivate by their attractiveness. On the other hand, the person that who does not consider this body is the attractiveness, right? Is the attractiveness, and do not make my body captivate to myself, right? Captivate to myself. If I am able to do this, those things are the best. That's what this is. Whoever able to do that, that things are the best. So in short, that if you able to control your body, instead my body controlling me, instead your body controlling you, and that will going to be the best. That's what it's saying, Shantideva. So this is something while we are alive, how that what should we really try to how to say what we really need to try to do is to control my body, not to let body controls me while we are alive. And then from this stanza, it is Shantideva now saying another reason. Not just while alive, this body is something we should not try to fulfill our body's demand, but also when at the end, when we die, and this body is also very much useless. So tamar thawi thartushi miyo shenji chwejawa mezang suni mezeba tela chichir dadu zins. And if you also think when we end of our life, when we die, what this body will going to become? This body will going to become the dust and ashes are the body's final state. This body, which inert, is moved by others' forces, right? That body cannot move, right? And it moved by all those funeral employment, employment, or the friends and family members will going to pack up and put into the coffin. Body itself cannot go to the coffin. Body itself cannot go to the ground, under the ground. So this body is at the end, that's the for sure. This body which inert is moved by the other forces. So this form, so frightening and foul, frightening and foul. Why do I so regard it as myself? From the both point of view, while we are alive, what this body does to us, and when we die, what's the use for this body? This is what it will go, how it will going to end up. So why do I so regard as myself? So Shantideva was saying, distinguish. That's not you. That's not you. Try not to make this your body is something myself and then put them as a priority. Very important thing. It's not important. When we are alive, it is not important. When we die, it's also not important. So, from the both angle to very carefully look to this body, it's not really important for myself. That's so. Dela chichir dadu zins. Sunam yana shi yang lai dala tungkor di chishas. Bongso di che chiyo na kihu ngajal selmeches. So, therefore, so Shantideva guided us to look from both angles while we are alive and then death. Right? Therefore, alive or dead, what difference does it make to myself? What use is this machine to me? This machine is the body, okay? What use this machine to me? What difference will divide it from a cloth of earth? Alas, that I don't rid myself of pride. Why I am not, right? Why I'm not get rid of my pride of holding this body as me. From the both angle, from the both point of view, while we are alive and death. This is something what above described. That's what body does. So what is really useful to hold as a dearest? So Kihyu Ngajal Semijes, this is something Shantideva making like Kihyu means like something like a very sad voice. Even though this our body makes our body does all this above mentioned, but sadly, why I still not ridding of my pride in my body, right? Many people holds that the object of my pride is my body too, right? I am somebody just pride by being a tall, somebody just pride by having a good shape, and somebody just pride themselves by kind of like thinking that I am handsome or beautiful. This is something like that. This is natural. We do that, right? But this is what when we hold this as so important, and that's what body will going to demand us. And then most of the case, we cannot really fulfill what my mind wants and what my body wants. In this world, there is no one person that who is able to fulfill all their minds and their bodies' demand. There's no one. No one. When you able to tame these two things and let them serve to you, then yes, then we can accomplish success, freedom, and happy, and fulfilled all our wishes. Till that, no way that we can fulfill our wishes. If we just obeying these two demanding, then it is impossible that we can fulfill our wishes. So therefore here this Kihu Ngajal Selmenche is kind of like this is very sad voice that Shandadeva making by saying Kihu. Kihu is that it is so sad that how is the nature of my body is just like above mentioned, but still, why do I not get rid of myself or pride? So that's one way of kind of like the making unimportant what my body wants by contemplating upon those guidelines, right? And then try not to, no need to consider this is so important. If you're able to fulfill, fulfill. If you're not, forget it. If especially that when this body demands something very improper, right? Particularly or especially when this body demands something very improper, such as such as kind of like a addicted person, alcoholic, and intoxicated person. Their body demands a lot these things, right? It is such a difficult for them because it's now become like a pattern, addicted. But still, there is a hope that if they try hard, they will be able to success in kind of, there are many examples that were success. Look into those examples. There are also examples who failed, yes, too, but we don't have to look into those fail, but because we don't want to be fail. What we wish is to success. So it's useless to looking those as an example. It is just like this. It is so funny, right? Even in a Buddha's teaching, that Buddha asking to generate Bodhicitta by seeing every being as a dearest mother. And then also Buddha saying, looking at this way, it's not you are making up. That's not fake. Actually, it is truth. One way or another, they have been your dearest person. You are not making up. This is as it is. And then some very, what do you call them, who have a very twisted mind, they immediately raise question like this. And one or the another, they also become my enemy. So why I should not see them as my enemy? Yeah, it's up to you if you want to see it as an enemy, but it is useless. It's not, doesn't benefit anything to myself by seeing in that way. Just like this here. Why I'm saying this here. So anyway, so that kihu ngajal sel mejes Luji kata shebai demen dungal nyersane jesu chakdang khondrowa shingsung de la jishik chas. Dagi tidar kyangbam chagyo soji sojano chame shedang yemina chide de la chabar shes. So now Shandideva guiding us to look from the another point of view to the body. And then contemplate, think that does it really I need to hold as a dearest or not. So now this is The above one idea Shantideva already done, okay? Think that way and make it less important what my body wants, okay? It is not important for me to fulfill what my body wants. Train in this way and, and stop following what your body wants. One idea. And then another, from another angle, we can look to our body in this angle too, which is through lavishing attention on this body. Such a sorrow have I brought myself so senselessly. Is it? Mhm. What use is all my wanting, all my hating? For what indeed is like a log of wood? Likewise, whether I protect and pamper it, or whether it is eaten up by carrion birds, this body feels no pleasure, no aversion. Why then do I cherish it so much? That's another angle to what Shantideva really saying is this body, okay, this body is actually not really different than the things, right? Things from the one angle, because this is Pembo, right? When this conscious live out, and this body is just same as the things, not really difference, right? Therefore, here, um, through lavishing an attention on this body, such a sorrow have I brought myself so senselessly. The fact is this: what use is all my wanting, all my hating? For what indeed is like a log of wood? To body, the fact, the what do you call it? Mm, how to say? Even you very consider as a dearest to this body, or even you really hate to this body is not really different than the log of wood. This body really don't care. That is actually one way we can say it, right? When somebody hate or so much love, pay attention. If I if my conscious not aware, right? If my conscious not aware, body doesn't have that natural that the body will going to choose those person who who like this body, and body doesn't have some sort of like a aversion or hating to those who hating to this body. Till my conscious aware, isn't it? Till my conscious aware, till my mind aware. That is also proving this body does not have that actually kind of like a doesn't really affect by hating and desiring, wanting and desiring. Not really much related with it, but we are connecting it. This me connecting and my mind connecting, and particularly me is the one who connecting between this body and the hating and wanting. The body itself, it's just like a log of wood. A log of wood doesn't have, it will not going to affect by either I hate the log of wood will going to just stay unmovably there. Even I like this log of wood will going to still just remain there as same. Doesn't affect anyway. Likewise, this body is also like this. Whether I protect and pamper it, or whether it is eaten up by Charon birds. The fact is actually this body feels no pleasure by getting protect and pamper it, and feel no aversion by eaten by the Charon birds either. If that the case, why then do I cherish it so much? This, Shandi, they were letting us look from the different angle to its body, this body. And then Shantideva, next stanza is kind of like when Shantideva pointed out this too and saying this body is just like a log of wood, and body doesn't have capability to feel, protect and eaten. When we say that, right, Shantideva gave this advice, right, in order to kind of like get rid of sense of importantness of my body. And this is what really 100% sure we will going to respond. That it is saying, Kangshik lüdi dögyurwa dedan tashe yinshe nas. This too. If that the case, okay, now here. Resignment when it is revealed, or pleasure when it is steamed. Neither of these two my body feels. So why do I exhaust myself? Oh, I left one other stanza here. What? Okay. Luji kada jawara. Gangi tata jamba. Chagyo soji sojang. Chame shedan yumina. Chide de la jawara. Oh yeah, there's one more stanza left. Not yet this one. This is not the one. Kanshi mepe chowa tan kanshi tebe ngujurwa kalte tenit shemena dagi kange ngawashi. Resignment when it is revealed, or pleasure when it is esteemed. Neither of these two my body feels. Also, now there's another one, okay? 3 stanza. Neither of these two my body feels. Because it is saying, because the body itself doesn't have sense of feeling, conscious. Body itself doesn't have a conscious in there. It is like a consciousless. The resignment when it is revealed, or pleasure when it esteems, that who is feeling, that conscious is feeling that. not body. Neither of these two my body feels, because my body is consciousless. My body is, what do you call it? Huh? Inert. Yeah, okay. Is it inert? Inert means like things. Inert. So why do I exhaust myself for it? Since that body itself doesn't affect in any way. When we say that, and this is what we will going to respond for sure, that Kangshi Ludi Dejurwa Didan Dashe Yinshenas. If I say I do it since it's loved by other people, others whom I thus regard as friends. I think this translator is a little bit strange. It's not talking about other people or friends. It is talking about within inside, right? It's not talking about other people. So let's say, if I say I do it since it's loved by me, right? I loved this body, my body, right? I love my body. Therefore, this body and myself are like a friends. The other, right? The other whom I thus regard as friends. The other people. That's really going to the outward, right? It should not go to the out. It is just within myself. No, that's answering. That's answer. But this is what definitely when we study those above three stanzas, what Shantideva was trying to prove is this body is actually consciousless. It is not different than the things. So body itself doesn't feel aversion and wanting, doesn't have that feeling, and doesn't know how to react to the hated, and doesn't know how to react it to praise. When someone prays to body, body doesn't feel. I can give you one example. If really body feels, then while you are sleeping, when someone praising to you, body should react something. Yeah. Or when you dead and praising to the body, oh, you are such a great father, you are such a great mother, you are such a kind of like a, when someone saying all these things front of this dead body should feel something, right? So these are the example. The fact is actually like that. The body doesn't have that. I am the one who making up by holding this body as me. When I holding this body as me, then all this hating and reacting all happens. If I let it go to this body, if I neglect this body, then whosoever preys to this body doesn't matter. Whoever hate this body doesn't matter. Really, example is somebody who doesn't have a short temper. We can see actually even with the life too, not only dead body. Somebody who doesn't care much about their body, and then when people criticize and say ugly, this your body is ugly, he or she doesn't care, just calm. Okay, these are just word doesn't penetrate me, right? There are some people who are able to do that, yeah. But most of the time, most of the people, it fails to do that, immediately reacting, because we're holding this as a same. Myself and my body is one. We have this oneness, sense of oneness is there. Therefore, we react immediately. Right? And now here, when Shantideva give all these reasons to look, that body is actually not really feeling anything. And then we may answer in this way. This, I think, translator is a little bit like, I think, going beyond, going away. It should be like this. That myself, the I want it, I consider as a dear this body. I want this body. Therefore, this body and me is like a friend. It's one. It is same. Because I want this body, right? This is definitely, we will going to answer normally. We will going to respond if someone says above 3 stanzas, right? What are you saying? Definitely I will going to care because this is my body, isn't it? This is my body. I want this. This is my body and I want this. Therefore, absolutely I will going to react. If that the case, and Shantideva was saying now, if that the case, then why don't you do this? This is so interesting answer. If someone says that. Since all appreciate the bodies that they have, why do I not take pleasure in them too? Does it goes? I don't know. Again, I think once you go away from the meaning, then next will going to go away too. Okay, the next 2 lines is Shantideva answering to those who are responding in that way. Because this is my body. I want it. If you say so, okay, this is now. If you said so, then tamje range ludebe tela dago chimigas. If that's the case, why don't you hold every other body as yours, and why don't you like it? You can hold everybody as yours and you start to like it. This is the answer here now. Why are you dividing then? Why are you, how to say, being, in short, it's saying, Shantideva, why are you being racist here? Like, Ani Yangchen's body is also body. My Tukudawa's body is also body. So same. Why don't you consider dear to the Ani Yangchen's body as I'm dearing to my body? You understand? Now, does it make sense now? This is very interesting answer actually. When Shantideva says all these 3 stanzas that body is completely different than yourself. Body is just like a things. It doesn't feel anything. You should not care about it. When Shantideva said that, and then we may respond this. Absolutely, I will going to care because this is my body and I want it. If that's the case, then why don't you make rest of the other body as your body and why you don't dare to them? You can also make other rest of the other body as yours and then you can also consider as a deer too. Why don't you do that? Dewe dagi cha me bar ndola pinche lu tang sha. Tena tela nye maya leji Chesin Sunwarshas. Now again coming back, this last stanza, this is now there's another way of kind of like a thinking to avoid the sense of importance to this body. And then now this last stanza again Shantideva coming back. But if your body is useful in this way, then yes, you may better to protect. You may better to fulfill his demand. Kind of like that. Okay, how he is saying this last stanza. So actually, until now, how to tame the body, defeat the body, it's gone, right? And this is also, yeah, maybe we can say this is also a way of defeating body in a positive way now, right? Therefore, free from all attachment, I will give this body for the benefit of beings. And though it is afflicted by so many faults, I shall adopt it as my necessary tools. Until now, when Shantideva was saying this body does, while life, it does this, while death, it is useless. And also from the another angle, it is just very useless, just like a thing, it doesn't have any feeling. So you should not consider as a deer. It is not necessary for you to fulfill all the body's demand. Till now, he said that, right? And this is stanza proving it does not mean that you be careless. You be careless. This is stanza now. Making balance. Don't go to the one side too much. So therefore, and though it is afflicted by so many faults, right? Therefore, free from all attachment, all the above reason, therefore, free from all attachment towards this body, and I will give this body for the benefit of beings. If I am benefiting for beings, benefit of beings, then although it is afflicted by so many faults, I should adopt it as my necessary tools. Understand? It does not mean you just careless now. You just make it in a positive way. Use it. Let you use your body. Let myself use my body. When my body is useful of benefiting somebody else, the beings, then I should adapt this body. How? As my necessary tools. Just like a necessary tools, you can adapt. I can adapt this my body. So, although from the while we are alive or death, or from the another angle, the third angle, this body is very much useless. But it does not mean just abandon or ignore. Use it, my body, to benefit beings. When my body does that, then I should adapt it. So you see, now this is saying that if your body is really helping in this way, then maybe you should care your body. Otherwise, it is very useless to care. That's how now all the reasons Shantideva led us to reflect on, and then to contribute both my mental and body for the well-being of others. Okay, so in this way, we complete this, how to defeat this body, how to defeat this body's demand by contemplating upon those instructions. And now from here, the last 2-3 stanza, it's like a, how to say, instructing to engage into the method of meditation. How? So it is saying, Dewe jibi cheba chok, dagi kebi jenyakte, bayotamne tenshene, nida mukpa dobrasha. Gyalse tuje chenamtar, rigbi senni sushade, yinsen chebar mabena, dagi dungal namtar chen. Dewe jiba salvichir lobi lamle semlende, yanda migla takbar yang, dagi nyambar shas. So now this is last kind of like instructing method for establishing samadhi, right? This 3 stanza. And so, after understanding all above rational reason, and now feel enough of all my childish ways. Okay? What does it mean now? Enough of all my childish way. So this childish way is physically being in a crowded, mentally distracted mentally. These are the childish way. Or we can say, keep distracting towards these 3 objects, both our physical and mental, right? Those 3 objects are family and relatives, wealth, position, fame is the one thing, second object, and then the gender, right? Gender, as above mentioned in this chapter, right? So mainly it craving, but craving to what? And these 3 objects where normally human beings are craving, right? So craving towards these 3 objects and trying to achieving these 3 things, right? Try to make it success and good with these 3 objects is the childish way. That refers to the childish way. Okay? And so, enough of all my childish ways. Now instead, I will follow in the footstep of the wise. And recalling their advice on carefulness, I will shun all sleep and mental dullness. Right? So in this carefulness chapter, what is that chapter? That Shantideva guided how to be careful, mindful. So these instructions, recall all those instructions, how to be careful, oneself, and not just letting waste my time by sleeping and involving always into the dullness. So here, sleep and mental dullness, which are self-cherishing, stinginess, not willing to maintain the morality, and hate it, and laziness, and distracted mind. These are the things that I will shun, right? I will shun. Is it shun? Shun means kind of like avoiding, hesitating, stay away. I will shun all sleep and mental dullness. What is mental dullness? Mental dullness is those all above I mentioned. These are mental dullness. Stingy is mental dullness. And self-cherishing, self-centered attitude is also mental dullness. And not willing to maintain the moral properly is also mental dullness. This is all because of lacking of understanding truth, right? Therefore, it is mental dullness. And likewise, anger, hatred, and laziness, and distracted mind are all dullness, mental dullness. Like the Buddhas here, in their compassion, I will bear with all that should be borne. For if I do not labor night and day, when will my sorrow reach their end? Like the Buddhas here, in their compassion. What does it mean, in their compassion? It actually should be like the Buddhas here and Bodhisattvas. I will bear with all that should be borne. Rigpisen Sujades. What I will bear with all that should be borne. What I will going to born with, is the generosity, right? Morality, patient, diligent, meditative concentrations, and willing to benefit others. That kind of all mind or the sense that I will bear with all that should be born. Is it? Understand now? That's what I'm saying, that how like those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, how they bear with that all that should be born, right? Just like them, I will bear with all that should be born. So here born, what are the born? Born is all this generosity, morality, patient, diligent, and meditative concentrations, and willing to benefit others. Those sense, those mental mind, I will bear with all that should be born. For if I do not labor night and day to born this, to born those things, right? To born those things, or to carry those things with me, when will my sorrow reach their end then? If I don't carry those with me, just like a Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Just like a Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, how they born or how they carry with themselves all those sense of generosity, sense of morality, sense of patience, sense of diligent, sense of meditated samadhi, right? Sense of meditative concentrations and sense of willing to benefit others, how they carrying it with them, how they born with them. Just like that, I will bear with all that should be borne. If I do not carry all of this with myself night and day, then when will my sorrow reach their end? No way. So, if anyone wants to reach their sorrow, no, if anyone, if they want to reach their sorrow, if they want to sorrow to reach their end, if they want to reach sorrow to end, to cease, then those needs to born or carry all those, how these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas carry it with themselves day and night. Likewise, I should carry too. And then it is possible that my sorrow reach their end. Then it will make my sorrow reach their end. See, thus to banish all obscuring wills, I will bend my mind from the mistaken path, and constantly upon the perfect object I shall rest my mind in even meditation. So therefore, in order to, banish all my obscuring wills, right? Thus to banish all obscuring wills. Banish. Veils. Okay, veils. I will bend my mind from the mistaken path, right? I will reverse. It means I will reverse or bend, right? I will reverse my mind from the mistaken path, right? Mistaken path is what? We just mentioned earlier. Mistaken path is none other than self-centered. Self-centered attitude is mistaken path. Stingy is mistaken path. Not willing to maintain the moral is mistaken path. Anger is mistaken path. Hate and anger is mistaken path. Laziness is mistaken path. And destructive mind is the mistaken path, right? That's what it should understand. I will bend my mind from the mistaken path, self-centered attitude and stingy and so on, right? All the opposite face of the six pranashna paramita, actually. But wisdom is not included yet because wisdom is not taught yet. So we stop until the distracted mind. And constantly upon the perfect object. What is perfect object? Now opposite, just opposite, right? Willing to benefit others, generosity, morality, patient, diligent, meditative concentrations, to train all this, right? And constantly upon the perfect object. The perfect object is those, right? I shall rest my mind in even meditation. Now look, this is something very important here now. I shall rest my mind in even meditation. Means now, all kind of like a willing to benefit others. Stabilize. Here, nyambar shabarja, nyamsha here. The nyamsha. The meaning of nyamshak is actually this one, that able to put our concentration without effort. That's the meaning of Nyamshak. Now I think I don't know how to translate this. Nyamshak. Nyamshak is equipoise. Equipoise. No. Nyamsha. Nyam. Okay. Nyam is equal. Shak is state or put it. Put equal. Put equal. What does it mean? It has a very great meaning. We need to understand this. Yeah. What does this mean? Put equal. Put equal means you hear. Now, it is talking about mingling. Mingling what? Myself and willing to benefit others. You understand? When this willing to benefit others constantly training, it becomes myself. I mingled with the willing to benefit others, and willing to benefit others is my nature. That's called nyamsha. Put equal, right? You put yourself equal to the object, equal to that what you're training. When we reach that state, it becomes like you don't have to put effort to generate that sense. It is just yourself. It is just yourself. You trained enough. This is another way we don't call pattern, but it is pattern. So make it pattern, habit. I am making myself habit to continues this willing to benefit others. So this willing to benefit other is become equal to me. I am putting myself equal to willing to benefit others, and willing to benefit other is putting equal to myself. That's nyamsha. Means without effort, able to put into the what do you call it? Into the, so this is not really object, right? So these are all sense, willing to benefit others. And then also likewise, this is one. And then likewise, mingle myself with the sense of generosity. So the generosity, how to say, bountiful or willing to give. Willing to give, making my natural. Willing to maintain morality, making my natural. And willing to patient, make my natural. Willing to, how to say, diligent is making my natural. And how to say, meditative concentration is making my natural. So that's nyamsha. So this is very important. Okay, now here. Until now, Shantideva guiding all this one by one: generosity, morality, patience, diligence, and meditative concentration now. And finally, when we success or complete our training about method, is this: when I myself become inseparable than those training, that is the success or complete of training upon method. Now we need wisdom, and that's it. So method part, till now Shantideva guiding us to train the build stability your method. Stable your method. These are all method. that willing to benefit others, and generosity, morality, patience, these are all methods which help us to keep away myself from negative activity so I can cease creating karma, bad karma. Okay, I should say bad karma. Not really good karma. Good karma we accumulating by engaging into this method. Just engaging into this method will not going to cease good karma. Good karma is keep continue accumulating until you train well upon wisdom. You understand? So that's why it's called method. Method which help us to keep all those away. And these are the method also help us to keep our mental emotion away, such as a hatred, anger, desire, and jealous, pride. We can imagine ourselves while I am generating that sense of willing to benefit others, at the same time, I will never ever able to generate the sense of anger. And then same way, while I am angering on someone, I can't generate at the same time willing to benefit other either. You see? So therefore, now Shantideva was saying here, you should make it able to nyamsha, put equal with those training. You become yourself become like willing to benefit others. You don't really need to generate something like by using some method or instruction. Just through our constantly training and constantly thinking again and again and again this, make it myself. Once I able to make it myself, that do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah, this is what, when we reach to that stage, the training upon method is complete. So that's the destiny of training upon method. Ultimate state, the highest state of, we reached the highest state if we are able to train ourselves to make those training and myself inseparable. See, then when, let's say, when I want to raise this willing to benefit others, I do not really need to think so much. It is just pop up. It's come ups, just like come ups. And likewise, giving, just giving. And likewise, maintaining morality, just naturally willing to maintain morality. Like patient, like diligent, like meditation. So therefore, we used to say meditation. Meditation, in Tibetan word, it is much better because the familiarize and meditation are the same word. In English, meditation means familiarize. But in Tibetan word, these are same pronounce, different spelling. Gom, meditation. Khom, familiarize. Look. Gom, khom. Gom, 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 gom ne, khom. Gom, 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 gom means meditate, 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 meditate again and again and again, then become familiarize. Become familiar. Become familiar. That's what it is saying. So when we meditate upon all this, willing to benefit others, that meditate again and again upon those. And then generosity, morality. Keep meditating, keep thinking. Yeah, at the beginning, definitely it is difficult. Not only beginning, maybe it takes time. But this is only the way we can free ourselves. If there's some other way, then yes, we may can try, but there's not much way to free ourselves. This is it. And then once we reach to that stage, then we go to try to develop the wisdom then. Therefore, okay, one more stanza, just continue one more stanza from the 9th chapter. Therefore, it is say, Yana dida thamjine tube sherab tendusun, teichina nungalda shiwardebe sherab kes. Therefore, all these branches of the doctrine, the enlightened sage expounded for the sake of wisdom. Therefore, they must cultivate this wisdom who wish to have an end of suffering. Look, understand now? So all these branches of the doctrine, what does it mean, those branches? Branches is till this meditative concentration and go back to diligence, patience, morality, generosity, and willing to benefiting others, bodhicitta, and all this method, all this doctrine, right? All these branches of the doctrine. The enlightened sage expounded for the sake of wisdom. Therefore, whoever wish to cease their suffering must cultivate this wisdom. Whoever wish to have an end of suffering, they must cultivate this wisdom. Now again, let me tell you this one. So this stanza is the brief, contain teaching of all 9 chapter actually now. This stanza. If you understand this very well, 9 chapter is finished. To make it more thorough understand this wisdom, then it's elaborating a lot. Sometimes people get confused and lost up there. But actually now here, if we understand this stanza clearly, then that's sufficient understanding this meaning of 9th chapter actually. So how to cultivate wisdom now here? Okay, so as I told you, when I can understand that my training upon method was success, reached to ultimate highest state, is by able to making oneness with those training. Myself and those training become one, inseparable, right? So now this wisdom you should focus based on this understanding. If you look from the different way, then wisdom itself becomes ununion with the method. So therefore, Sometimes people, when we talk about wisdom, people misunderstanding that, what do you call it? Tongni yengarwa, like merely emptiness. So the emptiness doesn't any effect with this. So emptiness just become itself, and then doesn't help anything. There's a no connector. There's a no union. So we never understand the union then. So this wisdom, to cultivate this wisdom, we need to come to this point first. And from this point, and try to cultivate wisdom. So the now, I will tell you, I'm telling you in a very brief way, okay? Brief way how to cultivate wisdom. When we reach to this stage, you understand what I'm saying, this is stage, that we complete training upon all those branches, methods, till now, the meditative concentrations. And when we become ourselves, when I become myself inseparable then those training, meditative concentrations, right? And then now, this is the time for me to cultivate the wisdom. This is the moment now, my next step or my next training is to cultivate wisdom. By staying in that stage, okay? I have to stay in that stage. And then find out the exact inseparable. Where is that inseparable? Which I train it, which I successed it, which I achieved it, right? Which I achieved it. That so far I train and I study all those branches doctrine. So I made it myself inseparable than them, those training. Those training and myself become one. Now, cultivate wisdom by finding out that one thing. Where is that one? Where is exist? When we look and try to find that stage, that oneness, when we able to find, that's how we cultivate wisdom. When we cultivate that wisdom, that seized all concept now. You see, empty, empty, empty. Main meaning empty is empty of concept. Not need to make this table empty. Empty one's own concept. When we able to empty my own concept, that is the true emptiness. Now you understand what I'm saying. Okay, when it comes to the wisdom, always there is some challenge to introduce. This mainly it comes through the training, implementing. And this comes with the experience. It's very hard to point out. But still, I'm trying my best to point out. Do you get it? Till now, it's all boiling down to the mental is the one, self is the one, mind is the one who creates all these things. Come to the mind concept. And then now look at that concept which creating everything. find out that. When we find out that, that's called the cultivate wisdom. When we fail to find out that, that does not call the cultivate wisdom. So you see, when we stay into this stage will help us to empty all the negative and neutral. Negative emotions and neutral emotions are all disappeared, faded already. The positive emotion, I have to say, yeah, maybe emotion is better. The positive emotion is still left. Method doesn't have that method to get rid of itself. So it needs this wisdom to look at into its own positive emotion and find it out which I successed this positive emotion, which I feel I achieve. Where is that? Understand? When we able to see this clear, that's what we see the cultivate wisdom. And then this one has this mainly three stage: understanding, experience, realization. Okay, so through using this intelligence to able to find that stage, that's called understanding or recognizing the wisdom, the emptiness. Recognizing is just recognizing. It is the first step of realization. Absolutely. Without that, realization is not possible. But also we need to understand that will not going to help to cease all suffering. That is just begin to destroy the suffering. It is just a begin to destroy the root of suffering. Yeah, actually, those all methods also can be destroy the suffering. But here it's talking about the root. Now, when we understand, when we able to cultivate the wisdom, that when we recognize that, that is the begin of now you really start destroying the root. Till that, we are just playing with the branches. It grows, it grows, cut off, it grows, cut off, it grows, cut off. Keep cutting, keep cutting, keep cutting. In one way, yes. If you are okay, you can just keep cut. That's also another activity that you can do it time to time, occasionally. But if we do not want to do that repeatedly, then we need to go to the root. And going to the root is through cultivating wisdom. And cultivating wisdom, how to cultivate wisdom? As I told you, right? This is how we cultivate wisdom. Try to cultivate wisdom based on that stage. And then very clear that we are able to cultivate wisdom. It is very easy to cultivate wisdom from that stage. And it is very makes sense to cultivate the wisdom from that stage. Okay, so we'll stop here. Then next week, as I told you yesterday, we'll review this 8th chapter. and some sort of like question I will ask some question to, although that we are few people now, I can only ask to three of you, but we will review that eighth chapter next weekend, both Saturday and Sunday. Okay, two sessions. Okay, now we do dedication. Sönam de tamje zibanye tomne nyebe dranam pamje ne shega nanji wala tubai sibe zole ndo ando washo jambal bawe jidara kembanda kundu zambo teyan de jende teda kunji jesu dalovji gewan de da tamje rabdungo gewan de yeshe okun sönam yeshe tsozon Sanam yeshe lejong we tamba kunyin tobar shu sanje kuzum nyebe chenlam da chunye menjur dembe chenlam da gendun meje dembe chenlam ki jidra ngowa melam drabar shu. Read in English. By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemies, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all being tossed about helplessly by the waves of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming. By conforming to the knowledge of courageous Manjushri, Jambalyang, and in the same way as Samandabhadra, Kundusambo, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all being perfectly achieve the accumulation of merit, sonam, and wisdom, yeshe, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from this two accumulation. By the blessing of the Buddha, Sanjay, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmata, Chunyi, by the blessing of the infallible aspiration of the Sangha, Gendun, may this prayer of dedication be accomplished just as it is. Thank you. Have a good day. See you later.